Fox News alert on this Tuesday morning. An armed terrorist may be on the run in the city of Berlin. Police confirm the man in custody currently isn't definitely the one who plowed a truck into that Christmas market last night, killing a dozen and injuring 50 more. Still, ISIS is taking credit for that attack, the third one to strike Europe in less than 24 hours. Now populist critics pointing blame at the refugee crisis.
Well, here to react to that is crowd-packed CEO and former advisor to UK Prime Minister David Cameron. We have Steve Hilton on the couch with us. He's also now, congratulations, a Fox News contributor.
Great to be
Glad
here.
to have you part of the family officially.
Well, lovely to be here, yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. So what do you think about all of this and what's happening in Europe, being from that area?
Well, I think that it would be completely simplistic just to blame something like this on immigration. That's obviously not right. The cause of this is, as Dr. Gorka was saying earlier, is an evil ideology that drives people to do this. But at the same time, it's just as simplistic to say that when you get a terror attack like this, it's somehow Islamophobic to talk about immigration and to bring up the issue that when you open your doors to millions of people from a chaotic Middle East, it's going to make this kind of attack more likely.
Well, I was going to say their immigration policies, particularly Angela Merkel, who's facing the heat right now for opening the door, those policies have made it really easy to do this.
That's right, and these policies of open borders, they were designed in a completely different era when you didn't have this global terror threat. You didn't have the ability for people to find out about how to mount these attacks online and travel across borders. It was a completely different world.
And that's what Brexit was all about.
Exactly, and the EU itself was designed in a different era.
Yeah.
So
but it's
I think we need to
change, right?
Exactly, we've got to rethink it all.
1.1 million people, refugees, asylum, were allowed to come into Germany just last year alone.
Exactly, and that is just too much. Look, all of us, I think, would be happy with moderate immigration. We know that it's a source of strength for our economy and our society, but you can't just have it unlimited and uncontrolled. It's not just for terror reasons, security reasons, but for the ability of societies to absorb that many people in one go.
You're exactly right. The world has changed. Now, Americans are looking at Europe and saying, hey, we have the benefit of oceans and you know, learn these lessons. How do we learn the lessons so that we don't have this same kind of crisis in the United States?
Well, I think it's really important to take advantage of that, the same as in the UK, where it's an island, and actually that means that you can have controls. But governments in the past in the UK, despite that, didn't have sufficiently tough controls on immigration. So I think things like what President-elect Trump is talking about in terms of extreme vetting for people who come from places where there's a record of Islamic terror, those sorts of policies, and just accepting that this isn't being in any way bigoted or Islamophobic. This is just sensible policy to make sure that actually there is support for immigration down the line. People will support immigration if they think it's being managed properly.
Well, there certainly is a new sheriff in town, because you mentioned Donald Trump. Shortly after this, the latest terror attack over in Europe, he vowed to eradicate terrorists from the face of the earth. When people are waking up this morning, they're a little scared. Could that happen here? It's good to know that the next president of the United States is going to do everything he can to get rid of these guys.
This is what we have to do, and we have to realize that this terror isn't the result of our actions. It's not something that we've done to provoke it. It is an ideology.
But we've been told that for 8 years.
But it hasn't been confronted. And we've got to take the fight to them. We've got to change the way we think about issues at home like immigration and also integration, to make sure that people already here are integrated in our societies, because the sad thing is, as we saw with the London terror attacks a few years ago, there are plenty of homegrown Islamic radicals as well, not just those who enter through immigration. So all of these things have to be done at once, and we've got to take it seriously and realize this is a really long-term fight that we have to win.
That's what's so scary, to know that they're here in the U.S. We saw San Bernardino, we saw Ohio State with that guy driving through, and then what happened down in Florida at the nightclub.
They may not be radicalized right now, but they could be in a year.
That's right. And so we have to win that argument too. We have to take on the ideology, show it for what it is, and actually make sure that everyone who's here signs up to our values.
You use that word integration. Some say assimilation, integration, whatever you want to say. How do you make sure that happens? It's so critical for the first and second generation.
Well, the first thing, there's a really interesting thing happened actually not long ago in the UK, where the government commissioned a study to show just how bad the situation is and the lack of integration in many communities, particularly in northern England, where you have women, for example, who are literally kept prisoners in their homes. They're not allowed by the culture that they live in to learn English, to go out and live their own own lives, and that breeds this sense of isolation and separatism. And that's the sort of thing that we have to first do. We have to realize that the integration isn't happening. So producing reports like that actually show the problem, that's the first step in fixing it.
Real quickly, you said when you sat down you had a story to share.
I have something here. It's Christmas time. It's a little present back to you, Ainsley. So the last time I was here, this wonderful book you gave me, and then we took it away on our Thanksgiving vacation, and my kids loved it. We read it every night, and they would kill me if I came here and didn't have you sign a copy to them. So in the break, we can do that.
I would love to.
They really loved
so
it. It's
much.
a wonderful book.
Thanks for talking about it.
Steve Hilton, who's now part of the Fox News team. Steve, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.